Good morning. This is Oscar Hines. Welcome to the Morning Edge here on Edge Radio, 1540 AM, 101.7 FM. I am absolutely jazzed, excited, and beside myself to have in the house a crew that is going to educate, entertain, and enlighten. But I have a very special lady right next to me that I want to introduce to the Edge Radio audience. You know, she has been in the scene as both a comedian and a businesswoman for a number of years. Miss Tressa Ellerby, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Gosh, we're going to be introducing some exciting stuff. So I can't wait to get this show underway. So folks, those of you just joining us, you know, the wonderful and spirited Big Sarge has been at the helm assisting for some time. And we are going to be having him doing some things in the sports arena. We're going to be working with him in some other capacities. But the morning show is evolving into what I hope will be a delightful treat for listeners and a regular opportunity for you to connect to some of your favorite people. So let's have you introduce these two fine beings to your left.
Edge Radio.
All right, I have Leah Sampson.
Hello.
She is a comedian, actress. She has her own podcast too as well. Mm-hmm. She also produces her own comedy shows. Is it Hear Me, Bitch?
It is. Can we say that?
Yes. Can we say the B word?
Parents like the show.
Yeah.
People like it.
It's Hear Me, Bitch.
It's on my merch. It has to be
show as well as podcast too as well. She is amazing. Y'all, you know, you look her up, Leah Sampson. And then I have Enrique Chacon.
Hello, what's up, everybody out there? This is your boy Enrique Chacon, bringing you some Latin fire. Your boy out here, representing the Hispanic listeners. El Salvador, shout out to all my Honduras, all my ends out there, Colombians, El Salvadorans again.
Yes.
And, I'm also a stand-up comedian in Houston, and I also have a show too. It's called Comedy with a Cut, and normally it goes down in Katy, so that's where the nasty is.
That's where it's at. And he's also one of the co-producers of the Laugh It Off podcast too as well on Facebook. You can find them there too as well. So got an amazing group of people, and we're here to bring it. We're here to bring it. Now I'm not gonna say that I'm jazzed and tell you how old I am like Oscar over here. I don't know. He's jazzed. I'm more than jazzed to be here. He is jazzed. Are y'all jazzed?
I don't know what that word means.
Do not change the A for an I.
Sure.
Then it would be
that's a whole other.
So look, when I'm in Rome, I got to do as the Romans do it. I'm scared of you guys. Like Enrique. We're gonna put some salsa on.
But what you also known as what?
Enrique Chacon, Ricochet Sean,
okay.
S.A., Tres Leches, or simply Amigo to all my border supporters.
Nice.
A mess. Okay? A mess.
Love it.
We representing over here. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
We don't listen to jazz anymore.
So this is what I can expect from a morning show.
And more.
I'm looking around this behavior right now.
And more. Yeah.
So let's unpack this a little bit, Tressa, for our listeners. One of the things that I think is so important, it's medicine, and it's been proven to be medicine, is laughter.
Yes.
You
absolutely.
You've seen people literally change their states because they were just laughing, right?
Yes. Absolutely. Just completely coming, deciding to come to a comedy show because they need that stress relief. You know, they need to not be serious and, you know, relax and relate. I mean, you can also end up triggering somebody by what you talk about too as well. So it goes both ways.
So like what, they spaz out like, she said
you know,
mother.
or just you could be, you know, I don't know. I talk about, you know, being scared to date because a lot of the Tinder profiles, they sound like rapists. I mean, to me. So let's just say I say that. Let's just say I say that, and then somebody in the audience, you know, God forbid, was indeed rape. Right. Okay, so now I have triggered because I'm making fun of it, but then now, you know, they're ready to leave and walk out.
And with you saying that, and that's definitely something that you have to look at as a comic. But what I've learned from doing stand-up is I feel like people that do get offended, they want to be offended. Like,
to a certain extent.
Yes, because if I go to a comedy show, I mean, as long as it's funny and I know it's coming from a good place, then, I mean, that's what I came there for, you know? So I don't feel like any topic, and you know, like, that's your personal story. Right. That's kind of the thing that I go by. If it's a personal story to me, you can't get mad at me for my story. You can't get mad at me. I think that these men look a certain way, and rapists are very active in the female community, others too, but right now it's about us. So, you know, so I just think if you get offended, I think you're looking for it.
You're looking for that. You're looking for that.
You know what? It's not successful comedy if you aren't triggering a few people.
Just a few.
People gotta think, you know, you have
just a few.
You gotta piss some people off.
Just a little bit. Your mom, your grandparents.
Oops, sorry, y'all. I messed that up.
That is fun. Well, you just proved that we are streaming live right here.
So sorry.
You are listening to The Morning Edge.
Yes.
And we are talking about and inviting an ensemble of amazing comics that will be able to make us laugh, make us cry, or piss us off.
Yes. Because there's several comics that have different opinions about different things. You know, sometimes I see some really weird posts about the LGBT community, and it's hard sometimes for me to work with those people, but that's their opinion. I mean, you know, and I used to be that person, holy roller, going to church 5 days a week and trying to tell people how they need to live. So, I mean, I can't really fault it, but there are going to be people here that you're not going to necessarily agree with.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the point.
There's gonna be.
We might have some arguments. We're not gonna fight or nothing.
No, not at all.
Okay,
and it's all.
We're not gonna be no fights.
It's all good intent.
A big thing in the comedian world that everybody has been talking about. If you're driving in Galveston, Clear Lake, Pasadena, or Houston, is getting canceled. It happened to Kevin Hart on Twitter.
Right.
He made a gay joke.
Yeah.
And it was
some years ago.
Offensive by the community. And he made remarks that he didn't want a gay son, and that was the premise of the joke. And he
paid for it.
He paid for it.
He had to apologize.
He got
excluded from it. Yeah.
And that's a big thing that you got to worry about, and especially now that we're live on radio. I'm looking forward to getting canceled.
So in other words,
I'm gonna apologize now.
Beware of the gays is what.
Everybody.
Don't offend any gay people.
Just include everybody because the thing about that is that the discrimination against the LGBTIQ community is as bad as racism. I mean, and it doesn't make any sense. And they're actually in some cases are even in danger because people hate them so much. And I'm not saying that you gotta agree with their lifestyle, but leave them people alone.
Right.
Why do you care? It makes no sense. But still, as a comedian, if you want to be respected and have opportunities to be on TV and things like that, you have to decide that some of those opinions you can't say, or you're going to be real, and then you'll just lose those opportunities.
Well, and that's the thing about going back to cancel culture. I think cancel culture is straight BS. I think it's a group of people that are choosing to be mad about something. We grow every day. Literally, there are men that I've dated like 5 years ago, and I wouldn't even talk to them today. Right. The brain progresses. Things change.
Right. You know what they were like promo Neanderthal.
Sure, I think that's being too nice.
That's being too nice.
God bless them. But you know what I'm saying? It's like so.
And some of them was white. She not saying that.
Look.
So you know they're a little different.
for the ship or the motion in the ocean?
It was just my father leaving in '96, so just still recovering from that one. It was a lot going on in my life. I stopped taking vitamins. Things were tough, but. I feel like it is so ridiculous to go 10 years. First of all, the world was so different. Comedy was so different. Yeah. Richard Pryor would be so canceled today. Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy. Dave Chappelle. I don't think the Dave Chappelle show, which is like one of the biggest comedic shows ever, comedy shows.
He talks about it.
Yeah. So I think those people that are going back and being like, oh, and back in 1877, so-and-so said this. Yeah, they probably did, because that's just the way that people thought. I definitely thought some things.
I definitely did. I will be the first to admit that, I guess when I was around the time I got married, I'm single now, but when I was married around 19 or 20, that was my time. And my mom's listening. She's a minister. And I would tell you in a minute what you're doing is wrong, and you living unnaturally and all of that. I mean, at this point, my eyes are open, third eye is open, and I just don't look at things the way that I did before. Mm-hmm. But still, as a comedian, I can say that I do watch what I say. Right. I do watch what I say. In a comedy show, most of the audience will be women and couples. Okay, everybody agree? It's going to be more women. Women, typically, single men don't tend to go to comedy shows together. Yeah. That's not a thing that they really do. Every once in a while they will, but usually it's a group of women going. Yeah. And so I want the woman on my side.
Yeah.
Yes.
I do. That my comedy really is a little bit of a shock comedy. My comedy idols are Patrice O'Neal and Corey Holcomb from Chicago, where I'm from. Mm-hmm. And that's who I can't be them, but that's who I emulate. And so I want to talk about the things that we go through as women dealing with dating and things like that, and just in a funny light. So that's what I do. I get more so of the woman on my side. And more so dating, and just being a single mom too as well, with a daughter who is bisexual. She's grown. Being a plus size vegan, that's always crazy to people. I tell people on the stage I'm a vegan and they start giggling. Well, I don't know what's so damn funny. I don't be understanding that, but I do talk about dating a lot, and sometimes female comedians get slack for that because they feel like we only talk about sex or whatever, but men they have dick jokes and talk about sex all the time.
All the time.
So
we talk about what our life consists of. And our genitalias are way more busier than men's are. We got all types of stuff going on. We wake up and our whole day is ruined because we ate a banana that was going bad. So it's like, let us speak.
Hold pH off.
Let us do it.
pH all off.
Vodka and whiskey.
Yeah, because you had too much Rianiti and Zinfandel in the box.
Say y'all want it, but y'all don't want to talk about it.
Too much wine in a box.
Yes,
you know what I mean? We gotta watch what we eat, because that changes our pH.
Drinks,
and actually, y'all change our pH too. Yes. As a matter of fact, and blame it on us.
I understand what you're talking about.
Now you understand? Okay. Well, we on the break. I'll explain. Yes. There you go.
Yes. Healthy and his fluid is putrid.
Yes. If it's like battery acid, it is going to affect your pH.
Well, so you're not supposed to eat any kind of pineapple or
that's
Brussels
supposedly. Well, no, pineapple was good, not Brussels sprouts. Brussels sprouts and beer, all that type of stuff changes the man's pH. All that meat and no vegetables and no water. And beer and stuff that is sour.
Asparagus.
Yes.
Asparagus story.
Oh my God. It's what's that? It's farmer's market. No, we don't want. Y'all, look, and I'm sorry, we don't switch over to
veggies.
Eat your veggies.
Man, don't eat vegetables.
Not in Texas.
I eat vegetables.
Well, you were a vegetarian.
No, I were.
I was.
No, but I was a vegetarian.
Yeah.
And for about 3.5 years, when I first got to Texas, I did not eat meat. It was the best shape I was in. I ran 5-10 miles a day. I felt amazing. Wow. And I would say that, especially when you get into, and for those listening that are in their 50s, even your 40s, but if you can gradually move over to a vegan diet starting in your 40s, you're going to be better off your whole life.
Your whole life. He stole my whole thing.
I didn't steal nothing, girl. I'm vegan,
Nick. I was supposed to say it. I'm just joking. I was supposed to say that. No, I'm just playing. It's not scripted. But you're absolutely right. It really, truly is. It's the fountain of youth. It is truly a way to avoid so many diseases, especially that African Americans and Hispanics are getting, based on the things that we're eating. Not that you will never, ever have a disease. It depends on what's been going on in you, but it's all about pH levels. Okay, your body, when you are born, it has a pH level, and then you want to keep everything that you're putting in at a higher, pH balance, alkalinity. There's alkaline and there's acid. Meat is acid, vegetables and fruits are alkaline. So your body, it needs to be as alkaline as possible to eliminate disease, So we're talking about energy, we're talking about skin and hair growth, but also just the lack of inflammation and mucus, which is the cause of disease. That's, we're going to, on the morning show, we'll talk about that and talk about health and wellness and mental health. But, as a vegan, don't get it twisted, because I really don't care about animals. I'm not saying, okay, let me back up. Not eating them, all right, not eating them helps us as humans, okay? Obviously, there's going to be less emissions for the factory. It helps the footprint. It helps that you're not taking food away from the food chain, but I will wear leather. If I get a Netflix special, I'm sorry, it's going down. And I don't know, I haven't decided what color it's going to be. I'm sure there might be.
Leather up.
I'm a leather up.
Leather up.
I'm a leather up.
You see this? I ride motorcycles and I wear leather.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm not trying to get road rash.
I'm just not concerned about the cow's soul, is what I'm trying to tell you. I'm not. I'm not.
But it's okay to be concerned about those little creatures.
Their souls. How you gonna care about their soul and eat it?
Well, I'm just saying it's okay to care about them.
Okay.
It's okay to care about them, but the health benefits far outweigh anything else.
Yes.
And I think that we're now in a perilous time because in seriousness for a moment, this country's in a crisis.
Yes.
95% of pharmaceuticals are consumed in America. We are only 5% of the population. People have started medicating themselves into a numbness, and that's going to continue to perpetuate itself. There is something that we believe that food is medicine, and it has the ability to heal and cure anything, any ailment, if the right combinations are used. In upcoming weeks on Edge Radio, I have a gentleman that is a cardiovascular surgeon. He'll be coming on.
Cool. Amazing.
And he has an entire facility dedicated to vegan living and lifestyle. And he takes people reverse diabetes, reverse heart disease, reverse high blood pressure. And this is real because you've got what we would call empirical evidence to show someone's tracking from unhealthy to very healthy.
Absolutely.
Not walking to walking.
To walking.
And as you said, when inflammation kicks in, 85% of disease is based on inflammation.
Absolutely. Period. My mom's, she's listening. What's up, Mom? Valerie Ellaby. She reversed type 2 diabetes by following a vegan diet. She was taking insulin shots every single day. She is no longer diabetic. They actually don't, they say that you can't cure it. So these people use the term reverse it. But she has not had it for several years now. Blood pressure is down. She was having kidney issues. Those kidney issues they were trying to scare her like any moment her kidney was going to fail. And so my mom is one of four family members, immediate family members that had diabetes but is still alive. My grandfather passed at 62. My Uncle Kevin was 54. My Uncle Michael just passed in December of 52 years old. And just consider it. That's all I'm telling you. Just consider it.
We feel your passion.
Well, and that's the thing. I honestly, from the moment I've met you, Tressa, because as Black people, that's not a topic of conversation. Absolutely. Eating healthy, like I say, veganism is white people's stuff, and this, that, and that's what it is. And I think what is so
they prefer the term plant based because vegan usually does mean the ethical side of it, and I branded the vegan thick, but I don't care. I'm changing what it means important for me. And I'm sorry, but go ahead.
You're that voice. You've been that voice. You talk about it in your comedy in a way that it reaches not only Black people, but everybody, younger people. I mean, I remember I had a conversation with you after a show. I messaged you. I was like, I'm on it. You sold me. Like, I'm on this vegan thing, because we do need to take care of our health. It does run in our family, in our blood, being, Black or Hispanic. It does run in our bloodline and we could be perfectly
from what we're eating. And I forgot my grandmother also, but my grandmother ended up being the only person with Alzheimer's. The only person in the, and that's connected to meat. Okay. So because she forgot that she liked meat, all right, she did no longer have the taste for it. So then because she did not eat meat anymore from just reverting almost back to a child with Alzheimer's, the diabetes went away because she wasn't trying to be vegan or vegetarian. She just, certain things she did no longer realize or know anymore. Her brain did not connect to even having a taste for that. Or, so she passed, but she no longer had diabetes. So actually there's 5 people, and she passed. She was around 78, the oldest person with diabetes, but everyone, we're talking about before 65. And it is what we are eating, and we have to change that. And I truly think that fast foods, it's part of a systematic racism, okay, to put those places in our communities with $3 meals, but it costs $8.99 to get a 8 ounce of pineapple. No, of just pineapple.
Yeah.
Well, so
you can't feed your family on just pineapple.
But just understand this, and I think all listeners.
And I'm sorry, I'm getting loud.
Well, but understand this: all listeners need to really get that. We are in a society that values money more than people.
Yes.
And because of that, it's not just the food.
Right.
It's also environmental stuff that's happening. But specifically things that we don't think about, like cleaning solutions.
Yes, that's true.
Cleaning solutions generally have all sorts of different active potential carcinogens.
Yes.
Fertilizers that are fertilizing the food have these carcinogens.
Hair products.
And absolutely hair products.
Deodorants.
All of makeup has lead in it. I mean, so look, foundation, all those different things.
Right. Calm down.
So I'm saying, I mean, I don't want to.
I mean, you're right, but I don't need to be reminded.
I'm still wearing that.
So I don't want to bring people down, but we do have a problem.
We got to learn.
And I think that the only way to get to a solution is to be educated.
Absolutely.
So part of what we'll do with our morning shows is invite wellness practitioners, invite healers, invite people that have a larger sense of their areas of expertise that expand our world.
And we need to continue these conversations.
Absolutely.
Listeners, have these conversations with your family members, have these conversations with your friends, people that are close to you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
To get that change.
I
Absolutely.
agree with what you were saying, that health is for people in the upper middle class and for rich people.
Right. It seems like it.
And then also education as well. Because in the Hispanic households, abuelita, no matter how many times you're trying to get her to eat a vegetable, like, grandma, eat a cucumber. No.
Right.
Only if it's full of salt and only if it's full of chili.
That's it.
That's it.
All day.
Those are addictions, but it's like abuelita is gonna eat whatever she's gonna eat,
right?
And she's lived as long as
abuelita is 90 something, and she said that she's gonna go out like a soldier.
Like a soldier. Say that again, Eric. Say a soldier.
She's gonna go like a soldier.
Like a soldier.
And she says that in Spanish.
Right.
Soldado, mijo, como un soldado.
Yes.
Soldado.
And that's why some of our people won't consider it, because they say, well, my grandmother has lived, or my grandfather lived until they were 90 or 100, but that's one person. Let's look at the rest of the people. Let's look at the whole lineage. Let's go down the line and see how many people pass from just what is natural causes, which actually now they're probably going to say is COVID. But, how many people in your family is just complete natural causes, nothing else. And it's proven. It's going back to a lot of what we are ingesting and eating, and not, and it doesn't have to be expensive, but that's where we come to have to understand about farmers markets and growing your food, or just the other ways to make your food that's not processed, and if you create your own veggie burgers, it's not expensive. It's more expensive to buy pre-made veggie burgers. Right. But if you buy a food processor and you put it together with however you're going to do chickpeas or whatever the case may be, those things we have to learn. Mm-hmm. We have to learn.
And I'm sure you can YouTube the heck out of stuff like that.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And there's classes too, but you could YouTube for free.
Yeah, true. I've gone to and encourage people, and we're, as I said, going to have some different practitioners on. Mm-hmm. So we will actually have events where people can go and eat raw foods. Yeah. What I suggest, and I will tell you this from my own personal experience, when I had a cousin who I absolutely loved. He's a couple of years younger than me, and he had 3 heart attacks already. Wow. So I took him to this doctor, this same cardiologist I'm talking about, that had a vegan setup, and he did a seminar on raw foods. We had raw food chefs that were there and created this elegant, incredibly flavorful, just abundant cornucopia of raw foods. And when you ate them, and I purposely starved that cat that day. I picked him up early. I ran him around town, so he was hungry.
Right.
Be hungry when you try some of this stuff for the first time. Yeah. You will be amazed because your taste buds are heightened. Right. Your chemistry wise, your body, your serotonin levels, everything is elevated. But when you taste the live food and it goes in your body, you feel it living. You feel a living energy that's surging inside of you. And there's actual reasons for that, because food is based in negative ions. Negative ions is what's in the soil that grows it. And the vibrational frequency of negative ions is what reduces stress in our body. It's also what heightens our awareness, our energy, all of that. Yeah. So there is reasons for it. We are in the Morning Edge right now. We're getting into some interesting conversations about health, but we're not going to stay in health. We are going to move to comedy again. Yes. Because I've got some questions for you guys about what makes a comic a comic? What do you sick people find that makes other people want to laugh? So you're egotistical, narcissistic. What is narcissistic? I can't discriminate. Wait a minute.
What you mean, you people?
What do you mean, you people?
Right.
So I want to find that out, but we're going to find that out after the break. So we're going to take a break here. Stay right here. You're listening to Edge Radio Network. This is the Morning Edge. Today it is going to be 94 degrees. And right now it's heating up quite a bit. So if you're driving out there, make sure that you got all that you need to stay cool, calm, and collected, and your AC is good to go.
Yes, please.
And also, there's a weird little thing, and we're going to take this break, but I just want to mention this. The ozone layer is extremely high right now. No one ever talks about ozone.
No. They're saying it's because of cow farts.
Hey,
you heard of that? I haven't seen it, but I saw it on Twitter. It's true.
It's a cow fart thing.
Apparently, if we stop eating those guys, then they won't be farting as much, right?
I mean, they stop breeding them.
That's right. So we're going to talk about what makes a comic a comic when we come back. You're listening to the Edge Radio Morning Show. Back in just a moment. We'll be back with this amazing group. Stay there.
What's up? Come back. All right, so
And we are back here with the Morning Edge. You are listening to Edge Radio Network, 1540 AM, 101.7 FM, Houston, Galveston, Pasadena. You're driving around out there. You're feeling that high ozone. You're feeling yourself. You're listening to your favorite music. Nope, you can't listen to your favorite music. You got to listen to us here on the Morning Edge.
Somebody said his mic is off.
Yeah. I think that mic's a little. We're gonna take a look at that because I can hear it. I can hear it here. So just project towards us right now, my dear brother. And we already are funny. So Enrique Chacon. So when Abuelita was eating tortillas. I mean, what am I being stereotypical?
No, you're not being stereotypical, and it's fine being a bit stereotypical. Abuelita was eating tortillas. She was eating pollo. She's eating soup, but the soup is just bacon fat. That's why I can't walk. It's depending on the pharmaceutical company to keep her alive. The whole system that break apart.
So she's eating the pig fat, and that's what the soup is.
And that's what the soup is made out of.
It's hilarious because my abuelita, my brother became vegan recently because he was reaching 300 pounds, and then he's living with my abuelita, so he's trying to make her be vegan, but she's not.
She's gonna put some fat back and some oil and make some homemade tortillas.
According to her,
he's not a man anymore.
Well, look, there are some people, depending on their willpower. I have seen some people chain smoke until they were 100 years old.
Right.
And they said,
these things aren't going to kill me, sweetheart.
Right.
I actually was in New York. Before I left New York, I had just gotten out of school and I became a tobacco representative, a tobacco.
Wow.
I got to wear a nice suit. I got to have my company car.
Well, that's how they get you.
Yeah, that's how they get you. I got
that's
a nice
how
salary.
they get you.
And I would go around and I would sell into, and then I remember the day that I decided I wasn't going to do that anymore. I was putting some display together, some cigarette display.
Right, yeah.
And then I heard, let me get 2 packs of Carltons. And I was like, damn, that's a gnarly old man, right? I turned around.
And it was a woman.
It was an old woman.
It was a woman.
And she had a scarf on.
And
then as I was taking that walk outside to my car, she had a handkerchief on, and she pulls the handkerchief off. She lights the cigarette and puts it in the hole in her trunk.
Man,
and she sucks in the smoke from her trach, and I said, "Oh hell no!" You want to talk about karma? Look, you want to talk about killing some cows? I'm killing human beings, and I was not feeling that. So let me change it up because I don't want to. Tressa look like she getting ready to get pissed off at me and hit me. And I'm telling her old story when I reform. So let me ask you guys this question. Let's reboot. A comic becomes a comic for a reason. What are the reasons that you all decided to become comics?
To be you, to be grounded. Being a comedian, of course, it's selfish. You want the acceptance. You want to feel good. You do it so at the end of the night, you don't go home and you overdose on cocaine. It's just part.
Which sometimes still happens.
So comic or coke? So it's comic or coke?
There's a lot of comics that used to do all of that, but some of them still do coke. And some of them do coke, and then if you call an Uber after the show, that's who's gonna be your Uber because they don't have a job and they just did a line to stay up to take you home. So be careful of that.
I started comedy because nobody would listen to me. I'm the middle child, so I got tired of not getting attention. I was like, I got very good ideas for everybody. Y'all need to hear these things. So that's and I didn't really like have a a good upbringing. I guess
healthy childhood.
I'm like childhood. I don't know what that is. Like I had an imaginary friend by 2, so things weren't right. Like it was. Even my imaginary friend was like, "We got to get up out of here."
You imagined it, the imaginary friend didn't like your life.
And 3 years old, had the tracheal. And so I think I've always was by myself making things up, just being creative. Nobody would listen to me, and so I just kind of took that on. People always say you're funny, I'll have a conversation or that's funny what you said. Or what you said was good. Like people should hear that. And I'm like, nobody want to hear about me. But then I looked in the mirror,
and you were like, okay.
And then I put my wig on,
right.
And then I said, let's do this.
Bam,
and then I took the wig off and said, I deserve it.
That's it.
I deserve it.
Superhero man.
That's it.
I love it.
I think just life makes you a comic. I didn't choose comedy. Comedy chose me.
Right. So cliche.
So I wouldn't slit my wrist and be a cocaine addict. So that's.
So you agree with him then?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it kind of happens.
So what about you, Tressa?
So a lot of people feel that a lot of comics actually will say that we're comics because we had a bad childhood or all these different things, and parts of my childhood wasn't good, but I don't really look at it like that. I'm not a depressed person, that needs to release things. It's the same kind of thing. People would tell me that I was funny. I used to be able to say, recite Eddie Murphy's Raw and Delirious, like word for word at 9 years old. Mom, I don't know why you was letting me watch that. But I was the only grandchild for a while, for 10 years. And so I was the only grandchild, and I was always around adults and super, super old acting. But then, I've been in sales for over 20 years and sales training. And so I would have these, 20 people every 2 weeks and have to, keep them alert and awake through boring corporate training material. So I used to write jokes and I wasn't thinking of being a comedian. Right. I actually eventually wanted to be a comedy writer, but it just doesn't work like that. A lot of the writers for SNL and other people's writers were stand-up comedians first, unless you just knew someone or lived in LA and you're the nephew of somebody famous. You don't just become a comedy writer. Like it just don't work like that. Just period.
It sounds like you guys have two schools of thought. Yeah. And your paradigm is that you were funny, you gravitated to comedy, and it was something that you did naturally. You guys are saying that some comics, and in your case especially, Leah, you come from a pain. You come from so to make sense out of your world, you gotta laugh.
Right? Yeah, and those ways are acceptable. I think there's a stereotype that you have to be suicidal or depressed. No, you can just be funny and have a story to tell. Everybody's that's the thing about, and maybe this is kind of like sidetracking, but they all have we all talk about, and even people that don't just stand up talk about like who's the best comic. There's no such thing because everybody's life is different. There are great comics that are fantastic, legends, geniuses. But to say that only one person is the best, that's saying that one person's life and that one person's story is the best, and that doesn't exist. That's not true.
Absolutely.
So life is your life.
So I've always liked, and I guess it's a matter of preference, but this guy goes way back, George Carlin. George Carlin did some ingenious, intelligent comedy, and he would take you down a rabbit hole, and you'd go with him, and then all of a sudden he would just like stick it to you, and always made sense.
Yes.
Modern guys for me, like Bill Maher, I think is pretty funny. Trevor Noah is to me very funny. So who are you guys' inspirations? I mean, what are your?
Ooh. So I actually,
all right. So I think one of the funniest comics right now is Andrew Schultz, and he is hilarious because he dropped a crowd work special the same day Dave Chappelle dropped his own special on Netflix, but he dropped it on YouTube. And he ended up getting about 3-point-something million views on a YouTube special. Why is it so good? First of all, he is white, right? I think there's a touch of something in him. which is like
he's like a brother and a white guy.
So he's not like the typical white guy that goes up there, and he has like a very office-like pace, and he looks like an android, right? So he's more upbeat. I think that's one of the best comics right now because the ability for him to improvise and to be politically witty. And comedy is also activism.
Right.
Comedy, Dave Chappelle released a special
846, yeah.
And that special, you can look at that and you're like, man, was that funny? In some parts, yes. But most of it was a movie.
It was a message.
Inspirational.
So I like what you're saying, that comics can be activists.
Yes.
Because you can use the sharpness of your comedy to start changing opinions. Give me an idea of what that sounds like for you. What have you done? Like, give me an idea of one of your skits that you felt like you were activist or involved in some activism.
Back to a white man. Well, so I maybe some women. I mean, okay, I make jokes about dating white men and all that, but it really comes from like growing up in Sunnyside, Houston, and all I knew was Black and Hispanic people, like and maybe a few Asians, and that was like all that I knew. So to go from that and then to go to the suburbs because my mom got married to a man with money. I was the only Black girl in all my classes and everything, and white boys would say things to me like, "Oh, I normally don't like Black girls, but like you're different, you're pretty. Oh, you know how to read. That's you're like, and it really messed me up. And it even went on into that's like right. And they're like, everything's your jewelry is shiny at a reasonable level, things like that. And so it kind of carried on into like my early 20s, like dating. I was living in a very predominantly white area, not on purpose. It's just the way it happened. And so I would date white men, not because that's what I wanted. That was just white men are fearless. They like to jump out of buildings and stuff. So they
like fast food. That's
right. And Chick-fil-A, they see me as a challenge. So my point is, I have a lot of jokes, kind of welcoming people into that world, like. It really does mess you up, not only as a Black woman, but as a woman. Like, am I just a fetish? Should I be this? Should I be that? So I think the way that I've done a little bit of activism is where my jokes definitely talk about that. I've had Black girls after shows be like, "Oh my gosh, I went to college at A&M and it was horrible. You get me? Hear me, bitch. That's my story to tell, and I feel like it's definitely helped.
I love it. I love that. That's a great story.
So
thank you. It's true.
This is just a quick bit that I do. I'll give you the spark notes of it. I'm up there and I'm like, Mexicans practice Black and white magic. White magic is for good. If your grandma has hip surgery, then you burn some sage, she smokes a little marijuana. That's white magic. Black magic is pretty much what you use for selfish reasons. For example, if you want a bigger dong, then you want to use black magic. And then I'll talk about the American government also practices white magic, where they put 1,500 kids in dog cages and they make them all disappear. Right.
White magic. Yeah.
And we'll write about some Latin issues. Yeah. That, of course, I'm making sexual jokes in the beginning, and I don't want you to see it coming, because if you're just so upfront with some kind of activist message, that people are turned off.
Yes.
This Mexican talk about this.
The last comedy show I went to, and it was a couple of years ago, I was absolutely dismayed at how frequently the F-bomb was dropped. Mm-hmm. There were comics that literally went up there and F, didn't have anything substantive to say.
That's like nerves.
You see, those are hacks.
Sometimes that is the
when
case.
You use a curse word or any word that seems blue and derogatory, it has to have meaning to it. Me personally, I am a fan of the F word. Yeah. But when I use it definitely there's context to it.
I'm just not gonna just say it a thousand million times.
Comedy's an art. It's an art form. It really is.
And then for me, a couple of things that I talk about. Definitely. making people aware of plant-based diet, vegan diet, and just, kind of making them think about it another way, because I don't want to be like a Jehovah's Witness trying to get you. Yeah, I don't want it to come off like that. You know what I mean?
How do you make it funny?
So I talk about, that I decided to become vegan after we had that hurricane. It wasn't no meat in the house anyway.
Right.
So and that's when you want to, lose weight and stuff like that after a tragedy. That's the best time. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't no meat in the house anyway, but I watched What the Health on Netflix and I was angry. Okay. The way you saw me get passionate earlier, I could not believe what meat and dairy was connected to and how the government pushed and made companies, sell cheese and, more cheese in the crust and all of that to help the craft, and how that company is also supporting the Diabetes Association when they know that meat and dairy is bad for diabetes. But then you got the Diabetes Association that is still putting meat and dairy on their list of things to eat. So I talk about that and just wanting people to just consider it, to be in better health. And then the other thing I talk about a lot is just being happy with your curves, being an older woman, single or you're not single, what have you, but just being, happy with yourself, not being unhealthy, but just embracing your natural curves and everything. That's why I'm vegan thick, self-love. And so that's all, and that's all kind of things I talk about.
I think that's really important. But I love the idea of activism in comedy. So I'm a motivational speaker. I wrote a book. I've toured with Les Brown. And we did a tour here in Houston last summer, and we were talking specifically about public speaking techniques. And one of the things he does is he says, when you use humor, you open the heart so you can inject the truth. And
that's great.
That is an absolute
and Les Brown said that?
Oh, yes.
Okay. When you open the heart to inject truth. I love that. I'm going to post that.
Truth. You inject them with truth. Because really, if you think about it, people right now have so much to be angry about, scared about, afraid about.
Yes.
I was talking to my kids who's working on a business plan to open a facility. And the discussion I had with them was, do you believe we're in a recession? Because we are.
Right.
And then the next part of the conversation was, do you believe this can progress to a depression? Which after 4 consecutive quarters of being below the this threshold, you now become depression, not recession, right? So in 1929, when the Great Depression took place, there was a number one industry that continued to thrive. I asked them if they knew what that was.
I know.
They didn't. It was movie theaters.
Okay.
More than any place else, people were going to the talkies because it was just starting to phase in. In the 1930s, you started having talking movies. People spent more time in theaters. Why? Because they needed to escape. They needed to find a sanctuary, a place away from their mind. Of course, if you recall, it was also the time of Prohibition, and that went away because people were like, I need a drink. And during COVID-19 quarantine, guess what the number one business is? Marijuana consumption shot up like
alcohol
crazy.
Has gone up 55%.
Alcohol has gone up, exactly. People need an escape. But the problem is that you can't escape forever, because when you close the door on reality, it comes in through the window. So we have to take comedy. We have to use it. We have to be activists. And we've got to say a lot of this foolishness is foolishness.
It's foolishness.
See, the reason I like George Carlin is because he was talking about social activism throughout his entire comedy. His genius was being able to take that and make it funny, but give it a level of truth that was so biting that you walked out of that comedy center and you were like, damn, I've got to change my view on Vietnam or on the oil trade or on the deficit or whatever he was talking about.
The government.
Yeah.
Uncle Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are we being oppressed? Are you really free? Are the 10 amendments are they really in place? Like all those things. I love George Carlin.
Absolutely. That's
why
that's why I love Dave Chappelle, because he he's real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, lots of things are stories, and he will put some things in it that you have to make up to for it to be funny. But that like, he is the GOAT. You know what I mean? Like most of us as comics, we don't ever compare ourselves to him, but just the way those things flow, and you were asking earlier, I forgot, I never did answer about who my, ideal, the comics were that I, emulate or that I look up to. But, Dave Chappelle and, like I said, Patrice O'Neal actually passed away, elephant in the room, from diabetes.
That was hilarious.
It was one of the best specials ever. But those comics, also Leslie Jones too is super funny, and Aida is hilarious too. But anyway, it's just, we have a voice, and if you have a platform. Dave Chappelle was saying that, people were waiting for him to say something. And his point was, as a celebrity, you don't need to hear what I have to say. Right. It's not the time. And so we do need to hear it, but there's a time and a place for it.
I love that.
And then once you have a real platform, absolutely. Yeah. Like, to me, I feel like it's your responsibility to talk about real issues and real things. I mean, you know what I mean? If I have that, you think I'm just going to talk about dicks and wigs? You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to have the chance to talk to my people, to talk to other people, because, not everybody, if you're part of the problem, if you're not speaking up.
Yeah, being silenced is,
about the different issues. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think that's why the Dave Chappelle's recent special was genius, because it made people listen. It made people think, because I feel like,
and it really wasn't meant to be funny.
It really was. That's what we needed right now. Like, we need the funny and the jokes and the this and that, but we need to be educated. We need to be uncomfortable. We need to have these things at the face of our existence, our lives. And I feel like a lot of people that do like Dave Chappelle, like I mean, I'm speaking for more like the younger people. I think they just know him as, just the funny guy. And so
Dave Chappelle Show.
Yeah, so I think it's important that he is doing that, because now people my age are like, oh no, there's actually stuff going on. Oh no, this is actually a problem. Yeah. Oh no, it wasn't okay for me to touch my black friend's hair. Oh, okay. Let's get into this. So I think it was genius.
Right.
That's pretty cool. Well, I know Jim Carrey, who he did a lot of physical comedy. Yeah. Now he's become almost like this Buddhist monk, He's like time and space in the continuum, and people think he's lost his mind.
The painting's colors.
And but he's espousing an evolution of his own processes, where he is now seeing things in the 3-dimensional, beyond 3-dimensional reality into 7-8 dimensional reality, and there's schools of thought around all of that stuff. Absolutely. And some people are like, magic mushrooms, LSD is the kind of stuff you have to think about that.
It's the gateway.
Enlightenment.
Well, you know what ayahuasca is, right?
Yes.
Ayahuasca is natural LSD.
It's natural. It's natural.
And people have cured cancer. They have cured anxiety, PTSD, all of that when they've gone on ayahuasca. And it literally opens up your consciousness and your awareness. Right. And the belief is, if you can follow that line of reasoning, that it affects your pineal gland. And the pineal gland is reputed to be the third eye. Right. The awareness, the spiritual awareness, the eye of Horus, all of that is connected to a higher vibrational frequency and an awareness of our global universe. Because we really and truly are connected. I mean, in my book, I talk about communication, but if I'm standing from Enrique, I can project right now without talking to you, and I can make you stronger or weaker just by projecting it.
Right.
And that sounds like hocus pocus. That's why I do a live demonstration.
Right.
Because I like people to understand we really and truly are connected. Energetically, emotionally. You go into an office with women long enough, y'all start synchronizing your periods.
Yeah.
You're like, girl, you got a tampon? Because I left mine
You know what?
home.
Y'all, get him. Get him. Get him.
Hey, look, you were talking about
I feel like we're all seeing right now.
and pickles and how it makes your coochie taste. I gotta talk crazy.
Well, that's just like facts. You know, that's real.
No, but seriously, I mean, honestly, I know exactly what you're talking about because really the truth is your mind is so strong. And so technically if your mind was strong enough, you probably could eat whatever you wanted and be able to control the breakdown of it. But the average person has no idea or true connection with their whole brain like that.
No,
you know what I mean? Yeah, so it's just people just don't understand that you know, that's what God gave you was the power of your mind, and you just have to learn it. And there's parts of it you are not using, but don't go get some ayahuasca off the black market, please.
Right. Actually,
Okay.
So
Be careful.
People think that the mind and the body, like they look at it in different ways.
But it's
in
connected.
actuality, you can make your body do what you want it to do, but your mind has to tell it, no, you're going to sit here. You're not going to go open that refrigerator and eat something you don't want because you're not hungry.
Right.
You need to
Because it's
finish this
quarantine.
report.
Don't keep eating.
Yeah, it literally people ate themselves to smithereens. So
Smithereens.
What were you going to say?
oh, I was just gonna say it's kind of before that, don't remember, but I was gonna say, you know, it kind of goes to the how they say you can make yourself physically sick from being too stressed out. You can, if you think you have a disease, you can end up getting that disease
because your mind is that strong.
The mind is that strong.
And there's a whole thing on emotional causation.
Yeah, and I believe, I actually had a conversation with someone about this yesterday. I believe that everything that is, whether you believe in God or a different, you know, higher power, everything that is on this earth, that it's meant for something. It's so like ayahuasca and tea leaves and weed and just all those kind of like, you know,
medicines.
natural things. We're meant to consume them because like you said, the brain is so strong. And there are parts of it that we're not using.
Right.
And I think that these substances have been put here on earth for us to open that third eye, to open our spirituality and who we are. But I think the problem is we think we know everything. We think and I think what we think we know is probably that much of what we could know. So I'm all for the natural.
I like what you're saying. I think, and then this is just a crazy theory that I heard about and how humans evolved. So if we were primal beings, we were a very prime ape-like creature, right? So what I heard was after a climate change, the primates came down from the trees and looking for food resources, they found mushrooms that had psilocybin. And as they took these mushrooms and had a trip, they
became human.
High, so we are nothing but high monkeys. We are.
Are you saying that we are tripping primates? That's
so primates, not monkeys.
Primates.
Monkey work.
Please don't call me no monkey.
So like
you know,
I was saying though,
in this climate, it probably would be better to you safer if you were a monkey. Monkeys are safer than humans because they love them.
No, you can't watch Curious George anymore without feeling a type of way. You know what I mean?
You know what?
Yeah.
Why are you watching Curious George anyway?
I'm a child inside. Look, I think psilocybin is a way to destroy the ego. We have psilocybin naturally in our brain, and every person I know that has taken psilocybin, they come out nicer. They come out just being better humans. They
have you taken it?
Yeah,
because you're pretty nice.
Yeah. Definitely sounds.
You're nice. You're pretty nice.
So we're up against a break here again. This is interesting, but we're going to be saying goodbye for now to the great Miss Tressa Ellaby.
Yes,
and you will be back again Tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll come.
I'm excited. Okay, so we're gonna keep it going. So that's perfect. Okay,
so I should tell them where they can find me.
Yeah, real quick, we got.
Hey, so follow me www.TressaEllaby.com. I'm also known as Vegan Thick. You can get your Vegan Thick apparel there, and then also make sure you come out to Lady Bits on July 18th at the Secret Group Time to Shine comedy show on July 25th. Also July 5th, I'm the booking manager for Laugh Jones Comedy Club. And come out there to Powered by Salon 180 out in Cypress. But again, www.TressaEllaby.com. And I got to go take care of my business, so I will see y'all tomorrow.
Well, we're going to continue. We're going to continue with Leah and Enrique having this amazing conversation. And we will see Tressa back here tomorrow. Folks, you're listening to 1540 AM. This is the Morning Edge. Are you feeling like you're ready to jump off the edge yet? Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a moment. Hello, we are back. You are listening to the Edge Radio Network here on 1540 AM, 101.7 FM. Those of you driving around Houston right now, check us out. You can't be on the phone watching, but you sure can be listening on 1540 AM.
Yeah, that's good to put in. Running no legal charges or anything like that.
That's right. Especially with this great conversation, man. I have been loving on you all. You all are some deep beings.
You know,
we are.
You know,
we think, therefore we are.
I believe that.
This is so. Let me ask you that. You guys are obviously you see different people. Every room has a personality, right? Yeah. When you go on stage, you're about to go live. Is there a way you gauge that? Are you gauging it from the previous comic, or what's your methodology?
You want to, okay, so this is how I gauge it, and maybe you might gauge it the same way, because we do perform at the same comedy clubs, right? Yeah. So if we're at a show, right, and you see the host come up, and the host, of course, he has a certain kind of material. There's many different versatile comedies out there, right? So you have that upbeat comedy, you have that loud Hispanic comedy, you have Leah, she also brings like a lot of energy, very high energy.
Yeah.
In that way, I think our comedies are similar, right? We get to a climax point, and of course there's like wit, but then we're also very loud, right? And then if there's another comedian who's a little bit low key but also brings a huge hit at the end, then you're gauging that, and then you look at the room, you see what they're reacting to. If the comic had a joke about women, right, and it's somehow a little bit sexist, which would trigger some people, then you're like, okay, you might want to stay away from that topic.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's a landmine.
Oh, man. I talk about landmines. I literally remember one time I was an MC at an event, and I was introducing this gentleman, right, and he decided he would open with humor. And let me show you how insane this guy was thinking. We were one of the charities that we were raising money for at this event that I'm emceeing. So I'm up there, I've got my suit on, I've got my Paul Mitchell black t-shirt, I got rid of all this. I'm looking the part.
Costa Rica
and I'm
flag.
bringing Costa Rica. They didn't know I was the Costa Rica guy. They didn't know I was the salsa guy. By the way, I'm gonna dance later. I hope you guys can dance.
We already.
All noon.
Yeah,
I'm gonna dance with somebody on this dance floor because I need people to know I'm a bad mother. Shut your mouth.
Okay, no, don't shut up.
Baby, I get on that dance floor. Demon gets in me, man. No,
demon.
Nobody call ice. Nobody call ice because I'm leaving too.
Nobody call ice.
Yeah.
But so this guy gets on the floor, and I introduce him, right, and he literally says, "What do you tell a woman with two black eyes?"
Oh, that one?
Oh my God.
I made that joke.
I was like, when I looked at him like, please don't say the punchline.
Not good.
And he goes, that's nothing because you already told her twice. And he looked around, wait a minute. Our producer's laughing.
That guy got dumped at like 12 years old and never recovered.
That is a bad joke.
That's a horrible joke.
And he said that in front of this room, and oh my God, there was silence. Yeah, and he sucked the room out of the room. Yeah. So I know what you're saying. Bad timing, bad joke. How do you read a room, Leah? What do you do?
I just see who's drinking and who's eating fries, because you can't be mad about anything if you're eating fries and drinking. I've never had a plate of food and alcohol and been like, this person's upset me. I'm like, I love white people. Like, that's kind of how I go about it. But, kind of like what you're saying, like
Enrique,
yeah, I don't remember your name. I was just kind of, I didn't know how to roll my R. I didn't want to be disrespectful. I have a lisp, so it's kind of hard. But that definitely is a thing. It's like you'll kind of like listen to how the crowd reacts to the prior comedians of you, and that, like you said, as we all kind of do the same shows, and so you kind of like know what comic has, what kind of energy they bring. Yeah. So it's like, okay, I know this comic is more political. I know this comic is more dirty, and I heard how the crowd reacted to them. So maybe I can pull out but either way, I do what I want.
Yeah.
Because I know it's going to be good.
So let me ask you guys this: with comedy, and some of the comedians actually make this part of their shtick. Like if you made a George Floyd joke, he's like, "What? Too early?
Damn,
too early? What do you think about that? Because we're living in such a politically correct, sensitive time. You can't say anything, but do you say it, or what do you do? Are you guys making up George Floyd jokes right now?
Personally, no, because I just
get shot.
Well, and here's my thing on it. There are some people that can make jokes about things. Like I've heard some Kobe jokes that are so messed up, and it's like, I see what you did there.
Right.
I feel like me personally, when it comes to stuff that's like kind of off limits, I will test that boundary. I will make a joke about it, but when I'm ready, because I feel like you can tell when a joke is like coming naturally versus when it's being forced. Right. And I think that's when those insensitive jokes come off wrongly, because it's like the audience is smart. The audience can tell, oh, you're just trying to get a laugh, and it's just not nice.
You're in it for the shock value.
Right, exactly.
Get off the stage.
Right, but I think as a comic, as Tressa said earlier, yes, you do have to, be considerate of your audience. Don't be pulling out the black eye jokes and you're doing a set at a woman's shelter. Don't do that. That ain't gonna go good. So, but don't be afraid to be creative and to speak your truth.
So a different way to tackle, if you wanted to go into that territory, that no man's land, and make fun of George Floyd. Of course, you're not going to make fun of him directly. Right. And then first of all, you got to make sure you have your passes. What is your passes? Me being Latino, I can make that, Hispanic accent, and but if you're white and like you're doing this, you're racist, then you're going to get castrated. But if you wanted to make fun of George Floyd and you don't have those passes, then you can make fun of being at a protest, which I kind of did. I made fun of my friends that had heat stroke at the protest and make fun of how weak he was, right? And I see some comedians and they talk about how there was just a bunch of loose women at the protest that were wearing nothing but panties and Victoria's Secret bras. Like, you really came here to protest? I
got hit on 3 times, by the way, when I protested, which shows that men have no morals. Because I definitely look like a little boy marching down the street with a face mask. So, shows you where our country is.
Right. So, you were twerking at a protest.
Who knew that protests were pickups?
Apparently, like literally, it was me and 3 other friends.
Like, hey, baby, Black Lives Matter, and so does mine.
Right. It seemed like some of them didn't even know what we was there for. I'm like, you thought this was a kickback? Like, because we got chips and drinks and water. Like, this is a cause.
Don't be dancing.
Right.
Oh, they were dancing the wobble?
Come on.
It was, don't get me wrong, Black people, we make it, we can make a fun out of anything. We can make an event out of anything, but, don't bring the Hennessy bottle to the protest.
Don't be passing blood around.
No, what's happening? And I was like, what?
I hit it, but
right, but
don't do it.
But then after I hit it, I thought about it. I said, you know what?
It's
what
a good idea.
Want? Yeah. What do you want this?
Yeah, but Floyd would maybe want us to hit the
Floyd wants you to take a hit for him.
Would Floyd want the hit? Maybe.
Yeah, if that for all the other dead homies.
And that's okay.
Wow.
Right.
That's deep.
So
the whole protest was kind of a party atmosphere. They were doing the wobble baby, wobble baby.
Yeah, I was saying. Well, not in my protest.
I went to the protest and we were at City Hall and people were passing the blunt around, and that's where I saw a couple people, just not doing protest-like activities. This is not Coachella. A man is dead.
It was definitely like some Warped Tour type feel. But I think also, and that it's so funny you say that because I thought about that. I went home and I was thinking about that. I was like, I was giving out. I made like packages for people that had like face masks, bandanas, and sanitizer and stuff. And I definitely became like the mom, like sanitize, George Floyd sanitize, no justice, sanitize. And I remember this one girl who was like, she was her friend. She had like the little, I ain't judging because I like to wear, the same things. But she had a little crop top, a little booty shorts, and the braids. And I was like, here, take the bag. You need water. And she's like, there's a mask, take it. And I remember she got the bag and she opened, she looked in it, and there was I put like cute little bandanas in there too in case of the mask or whatever. She took the bandana out and tried to give me the bag. She's like, I just want the bandana. And I took the bag. I said, you don't take this whole package. You are not going to choose what you want for the gram. This is not what this is about. And I was really upset by that little girl.
Oh my God, Leah, that's a different kind of hold.
Really pissed me off. You look like you were going to take off your
I was going to spank her. I was going to whip her, beat her, ground her, take her hair out, use it for myself, and like it was upsetting.
So you would have been sporting her braids the next day.
Yeah, I would have to grease them up a little bit, but I would have
been talking to.
Look, you can't waste stuff. Can't waste a bandana, can't waste a face mask, can't waste good braids.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, there was people riding 4-wheelers, big choppers, going in the middle of all the protesters saying, brum, brum, brum. Like, come on, man, this is not.
Well, maybe that was just a celebration, though. That's what I was thinking. I was like, is that just how people express their.
Every year, and
it brings awareness.
I participated some years ago, but bikers actually ride for different causes.
Right, that's what I was thinking.
And so there's huge bike rallies, and I've gone to a few, but
so I could have been mistaken and taken it the wrong way.
Well, either that or they could have been just jerks, and they didn't think anything mattered but their Harley.
Because are they doing it for the clout on Instagram? Because you're over here popping a wheelie, and you have a drink in your head, and you're going in between this protest, But if it brings awareness to the protest, with people with horses riding horses to their protest,
Yeah, I wrote H-Town. They're riding horses. Yeah.
I've seen that. I came from New York. I was used to mounted police, but I never saw people running down a field with a horse, right in the middle of traffic.
Yeah. 14-wheeler, John Deere, maybe even.
Wow. So you guys both from Houston? You born in Houston?
Oh, no. So I was born in the jungles of El Salvador.
El Salvador. Salvadoreña. ¿Dónde está? ¿Cómo se dice pupusas?
Pupusas is pupusas. That's what, if you don't know what pupusa is, and maybe you're a wall supporter or something, just know that
Salvadorian
you're gonna eat. No, it's not Salvador. It's not a taco. It's like a El Salvadorian hot pocket that you can put in the microwave.
Empanada.
Yeah, it's kind of like that was actually my nickname as a child, baby empanada.
Mine was pork chop. It was like the Hispanic version.
Yeah.
You guys were named after food.
I was fat.
Yeah, and my relatives were also fat, so that's what they had in mind. So yeah, I was born in El Salvador, and me being part in the comedy scene has helped me, and this is a topic I was going to bring up for comedy, have a voice. Like Leah was saying, she's the middle child, and I know my middle brother, and he's definitely like the quiet, introverted one that doesn't have an outlet but like music, so he had to find his own outlet. But back to what I was saying, I came from El Salvador in 2001, right? My visa did expire here. So I was, you were
riding dirty.
I'm riding dirty. And, there was definitely people hating.
Wow.
Right. And eventually in 2008, Barack Obama made the DACA Act, which gave me the ability to have a license and a social security for school work, but I still can't get student loans, which is it's a good thing, right? But it's just a headache paying for college. But yeah, I'm surely able to like talk about my status because there's like 100,000 of us dreamers, and I think that's a beautiful thing where I can talk and go to Conroe, Texas. And if you don't know Conroe, Texas, well, I'm sure a lot of people do.
Everybody, where Houston?
Conroe is just a synonym for Confederate. Conroe, Texas. There's a lot of racism out there, and I can make those people laugh and like teach them about, El Salvador, it's not Mexico. Then I think it's a beautiful thing. I think that's what comedy should be all about, having a voice. And mental health is also a big issue in comedy. There's a lot of people who just do comedy, but it could be a bad thing if you're just out at the bar drinking your life away, like many great comedians do.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, man. I appreciate even like you're differentiating somebody from El Salvador from somebody from Nicaragua, or like in my case, Costa Rica. Costa Ricans are a very diverse people. There are people that call themselves Costa Ricans that have blonde hair and blue eyes, and people that look like Aztec Mexican Indians. Right. And then people like me from Puerto Limon, which, is influenced by the Martinique and Jamaica. So I love educating people on that stuff. It gets them to say, oh, not everybody's a Mexican. I never even met Mexican people until I came to Texas. Right. But I was surrounded by Puerto Ricans, Cubans. That's where I learned how to dance on the streets of Nueva York, man. So it's pretty cool. So what about you, Leah? So you had this whole sort of challenging childhood, and you realized you had to make it funny. That was a survival mechanism for you.
Yeah, it was. I just remember I was always I was really always in my own world, and I was just always fascinated with stuff. I was always fascinated with people and how I remember asking questions in like elementary school. I never forget, I asked this one question. I was like, why do we pause after a comma? Why don't we just keep going? And the teacher was blown away. She was like, we didn't learn this at HCC. I don't really know how to inform you on this. This is not in my catalog. And I'm just like, with the cigarette, like, okay. And I was 5. And so I was always like that. And I remember my grandma's definitely a big influence on me of like why I am the way that I am today. She was just always so interested in me. Like, of course, my mom and everybody, sisters thought I was crazy or whatever. Everybody thought I was crazy, but I'll dance and tell a joke. And my grandma was like, "That's so fantastic."
Yeah, you got your heroes.
Yeah, like definitely, she is my like absolutely. So, and then I'd say probably around like 5 years old is when things definitely took a turn in my life, and I just naturally just saw the funny in everything. Naturally, I felt like I was always in awkward situations. So I would try to use humor to get out of them, you know. Like another story, I never forget. It was my little sister's friend's birthday party, and I was at 7 years old. I was so out of place for this, but I was so mad that my family had bought all of my sister's friends gifts from the 99-cent store. Now, that may seem okay, especially for me because I'm cheap, but not when your mom just bought a Vera Wang dress and your dad just got some rims. I'm like, come on, man, you could get the girl a real Barbie, not the dollar store Barbie. Dollar store Barbie ain't got no neck. You can detach her legs. She's cross-eyed. She's see-through. She's translucent. Her hair is thinner than mine. Like, it's bad.
She got gout.
Right. She's hungover. It's just a trip. The girl she looks rough. And so I remember they were opening up the gifts, and then I remember her dad was like, okay, and this one is from, our family. And I was like, from the 99-cent store. Ain't nobody laugh. Wow. That was like, what? And the look that my dad gave me, I was like, oh, I got to become famous or this is going to happen. But it made me feel so awkward though. Like, we got to be the cheap black people. Like, we got money. Like, we can.
Stereotypes.
Right. So I was like, well, if I just kind of make fun of what people may already be thinking, then maybe it'll be funny. Not at that time, but I workshopped it. I'm funnier now. Way funnier now. But yeah, I just think there's so many things that I think that also, like, I grew up in a very, somewhat conservative household, so I was not allowed, looking at a boy, you're going to hell. And so there were so many things that,
you couldn't do.
I couldn't do, but didn't understand, and so I feel like with my comedy, I definitely just try to, relate to that, relate to my upbringing, relate to where I come from, going from the hood to the suburbs, going from not dating and now I'm in the top 2% on Tinder.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I love it.
Yeah.
Tinder stock is high.
It is.
Yeah, very high.
Wow.
It's not worth much.
I love it. Well, I think when you go through those tough experiences, they shape you for life.
Yeah, they do.
And I always tell people to think about what you believe is true about yourself.
Yes.
I had a formative experience when I got on stage for the first time and I was acting in a play. And I did this powerful soliloquy and everybody applauded. It was amazing. And I happened to have some of the American hostages from Iran had just been freed. Oh, wow. And we were doing this patriotic tribute to them. And I was the main guy doing that tribute. Lord. And they loved it. Like there was a guy named Barry Rosen. He was the main spokesperson in New York. And after they applauded, they gave a standing ovation. He hugs me and he says, I wish I could have been as brave as you just portrayed on your play. Right. But it touched me. But then everybody's like, you're a public speaker. And I went, okay.
Right. Yeah. That's how it happens. That's exactly how it happens.
So every week, and I just want to frame this for the audience. We're about to wrap up here in just a moment. Every weekday, we are going to have and put on display, if you will, some amazing minds and amazing talents. And you two are among them. And I'm excited to have you guys.
Muchas gracias, señor.
Muchas gracias, señor.
Network. Tressa had to leave out for another meeting, but she'll be here on a regular. And I can't tell you, I am absolutely excited because you guys bring a freshness and an energy.
Thank you. I showered today.
I did.
Thank you very much.
You don't smell
Thank
at all.
you. I did that. Me. Thank you.
Good. And so I love it, man. I can't wait to hear more, see more, learn more. It's an exciting time.
Cool. I'm very excited. Yeah.
I agree, absolutely, and I hope that we just to kind of touch back on what you just said. Mental health, we need to bring
mental
that
health
into.
Yeah, we will. We actually have talked about the mental health piece a lot with different individuals, but I'd like to bring some subject matter experts on that you guys can really chop it up with.
Oh, okay.
Please, get into that conversation because my goodness, a lot of us are suffering and don't know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah,
we're used to just being in that state where you forget what joy is. You forget what happiness feels like and you think it's just normal.
Yeah. And that's not normal. As a matter of fact, when you're in a state of joy, you are creating. When you're in a state of stress, you are miscreating. So we have to make sure that we stay at the right vibrational energy. When you're joyful, when you're in expectation of something good happening, that's what happens.
Yeah,
the good thing.
Yeah,
So I love it. So how do folks get connected to you? We want them to get to know you. How do they get connected to you guys?
Okay, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Follow Enrique Chacon, but my Instagram is actually Rico Shayshon, and that is Rico RICOSHAYSHON. And that's just what some people call me in the urban areas of Houston. That's just what Rico Shayshon. Yeah, you can find me there. Yeah, I also have a podcast called Life is Hard, Laugh It Off. And we just talk about current events with a couple of other older people.
Cool. Like me. Like, he didn't want to say that, but like an old fart like me. He's going to talk about some old stuff, some farting dust. How about you?
Dust is thing.
Enrique.
It's wet, not dusty. Come on.
Yeah, you still got some juice in you.
Got some prune, got some orange peel.
Stuff like that.
After juicing, we're
you
not
run
talking
smooth.
about your flatulence. We're not going there.
This is what happens when you have 15-year-olds.
Like, I've seen my fair share of bowel movements. Yeah.
So what about you, Leah? How do folks get in touch?
The Cops TV show, but it's been canceled. So now you can catch me on Instagram at official. I don't know how to spell official. Official Leah LEAH Sampson. Twitter at LEAH-Sampson-1. And I've had to like recreate a lot of my different things. So far, yes, that's Instagram, Twitter. I also have a YouTube channel called Leah Sampson Comedy. I kind of just do a lot of different things. Like I will be doing more like more sketches and just kind of some more like one-on-one talking, kind of like what we did here today. And also have a podcast on the Yak Network called Hear Me Bitch, and I kind of just talk about things that I feel like people don't want, not people that don't want to hear, but
you're doing you.
Yeah, people are afraid to talk about. Cool. But you can literally get all of my information on my Instagram. I'm open. My DMs are open to everybody. My Venmo. Okay. So yes, again, my Instagram is official Leah Sampson.
Yeah. Leah Sampson.
Real quick.
Enrique Chacon.
Yeah, I have a comedy website. If you want to book me, it's EnriqueChaconComedy.com. Pretty simple. If you want to book me, you got something to say, there's a chat box right there.
Awesome.
And I'll be receiving those messages.
Yeah, book me as well. Book us both.
Yeah, book Liam.
Well, you guys are yin and yang on comedy. I love it. So this is great, man. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Oscar.
Yeah, thank you for bringing us on.
Yes, I'm looking forward to more stuff.
Me too.
I want the audiences to get to know you guys. So that's exciting.
Thank you, audience.
Right. Thank
if you think we're crazy, you're right.
Out there.
It's all good, though. It's all good.
All right, folks, you have been listening to the Edge Radio morning show, The Morning Edge, here on the Edge Radio Network, 1540 AM, 101.7 FM. We are so glad you joined us. Coming up next, don't go anywhere. We're going to be entering the realm of conscious conversations with Sierra and Stacy. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a little while, right at 10 a.m. with Sierra and Stacy. You're listening to the Edge Radio Network. This has been The Morning Edge. Stay tuned to Edge Radio all day, where you will laugh, you will cry, but most importantly, you will learn something new, I promise.
Edge Radio, La Esquina.
All right, folks, thank you for joining us.
Okay.
Been feeling a little edgy lately? Listen to Edge Radio. That'll push you over the top. 1540 AM and 101.7 FM.
How do airplanes fly? What's in this box? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Learn how to store your gun securely and make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Do you ever leave work and wish you were going anywhere but home? Hi, I'm Dr. Viviana Coles, and I named that feeling Homeward Bound Dread. At Houston Relationship Therapy, we help couples and individuals work through the many challenges faced while in relationships. Our experienced and dedicated relationship therapist can help make going home a welcome thought for you. Call 713-542-2221 or book online at HoustonRelationshipTherapy.com. Schedule your appointment today and rediscover intimacy now at Houston Relationship Therapy.
1540 AM and 101.7 FM Houston, Pasadena, Clear Lake, Galveston.
145 over 92.
180 over 111.
I had a heart attack and a cardiac arrest and then a stroke.
Your blood pressure numbers could change your life. Lowering your high blood pressure could save you from a heart attack or stroke. If you've stopped your treatment plan, restart it or talk to your doctor about creating one that works better for you. Start taking the right steps at manageyourbp.org.
Now I'm, trying to get better, stronger than ever.
Brought to you by the American Heart Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
1540 AM and 101.7 FM. Edge Radio.
This is Dr. Arango with Arango Chiropractic Clinic. Do you wake up with stiffness and chronic low back pain? Do you have swelling and limited movement in your neck, hips, knees, or ankles? Do you feel fatigue and chest discomfort when breathing? These are just some of the symptoms of ankylosing spondylitis, or AS. Ankylosing means joining together. Spondylitis means swelling of the body of the vertebrae. Manipulative therapy performed by osteopaths and doctors of chiropractic is an effective method of treatment of ankylosing spondylitis.
Contact us at 713-868-6166, or for more information, visit our website at HoustonChiroClinic.com, 713-868-6166.